Good afternoon, my name is Jason Flowers. I'm the Head of Technical Strategy at Tisski, and this demonstration is really going to be showing the power of Microsoft Power BI. So jumping straight in, what we're actually looking here is the Power BI website application, and most work within Power BI is done within a workspace. So I'm just going to go and create a brand new workspace. I'm going to call it Demo Workspace. I'm just going to create that. Now in here, Microsoft Power BI has a series of apps and can connect to existing services with a lot of default content and can do a lot of the work for you in order to get insights into your business. And in this demonstration I'm going to show pulling some data from Microsoft Navision. So on this front page I'm going to click Services. And obviously this aren't just applications for Microsoft products. You can see Adobe, Salesforce and various other content packs or apps that will provide you some default dashboards for you to then customize as required. But right here I'm going to search for Nav because we're going to be pulling data from Microsoft's Dynamics Nav. So I'm just going to select that, and it's going to contact Navision by Open Data Web Services. So I'm just going to provide the URL of the live instance of the Navision instance that I'm using for this demo. And I have previously authenticated against this, but typically it would ask you for some authentication there. Now as you can see, just providing that URL at the top right is actually importing the data, and it is creating a series of reports and some dashboards. And if I expand my workspace, I can actually see that it's created a data set, it's built a report, and it's actually built a dashboard. So if I select this dashboard, you can see some default visuals, and these visuals I can drill into. So for example, if I look at the profitability by country, I can actually drill into this and this cross filtering, so I can select Belgium and have a look at Belgium. So with these dashboards I can obviously add additional tiles, and I can add web content and maybe HTML content and streaming data from other sources. So these are very customizable, but these are just default set of visuals that give you a good start of actually how Power BI works, and really does a lot of the hard lifting for you if you're using one of those services that has an app or a content pack for it. But in order to show you the power of Microsoft Power BI, I really wanted to start a dashboard or report from scratch, and to do this I'm going to actually spawn a Power BI desktop. Now the desktop Power BI provides the same functionality. It's just a thick app that sits on your desktop, and then once you've actually pulled in some data and configured your reports and potentially made some dashboards, you can then publish that straight into Power BI with pure parity of the functionality and the visuals that are compatible between both the desktop and the website application. So this is a brand new project within Power BI Desktop. I'm just going to select the Get Data, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in a data set from the same instance that we were looking at a second ago. When I click Get Data, there are a significant amount of sources that I can pull data from, existing proprietary systems and open standards based systems. So we have Salesforce, we have SAP, we have Azure services and Dynamics 365, Google Analytics. In this scenario I'm going to be pulling it from an open standards data feed in a similar way that I provided a second ago, and I'm going to paste that same URL. Now this is going to interrogate that URL, the live instance of Microsoft Nav in this case, and it's actually going to enumerate the different queries it can do on this data source, and I'm interested in this demo with the top customer. So I'm going to select that table. It's going to give me a query and allow me to have a look at the data that will be returned from that query, and I'm quite happy with that, so I'm going to close and apply. Now to show you a mashup of pulling data from multiple sources, I'm actually also going to pull some data from a Dynamics 365 service instance. In this case, to show you a different type of data, I'm actually going to pull it through via Excel. It's been exported into Excel, and this data is all about cases or incidents in relation to the service management part of Dynamics 365. So again, I'm just going to select the data source. and I'm going to select that I'm interested in all the cases, and again it gives you a preview of the data, and I'm just going to select load. Now as that's loading, you'll see on the right hand side that query 1 was actually the Navision data, and now it's also got all cases, and it shows you all the fields within both queries. Before I start building visuals, what I actually need to do is link these two data sources together, and that can be done by the relationship. So I'm going to create a new relationship between these sources. The first one is from nav, and I'm going to use the customer number, and similarly in the cases within Dynamics 365 we've also got the customer number available. So that's how I'm going to link these two data sets together. So once I've actually done that, I can start building a report. So if I grab a tree map, for example, and I select and reposition that where I want it, I'm actually going to, on here, I'm going to put make the size of each element the count of the number of cases that number of cases from Dynamics 365, and I'm going to group it by the name of the customer from Navision. And straight away we can see that each element within that visual, the size of each is proportional to the amount of cases that customer in this case has got within our Dynamics 365 system. So additionally to that, I'm actually going to add a stacked chart, and once again I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger, and I'm going to use the case number again with the count of them as the size, and for the axis I'm actually going to split this by year, so I'm just going to drag on the modified date, and we have a stacked chart of those cases across the period of this data. Quite impressive straight away, but one thing to note is actually these visuals are cross-filtered. So if I select a client within the first visual, it actually shows you the stacked chart and shows the proportion of those cases across those years that are attributable to that customer. Similarly, if I actually selected one of the years in the second chart, it'll show me on the first visual the proportion of cases from each client. So a very simple example of pulling two data sources, mashing them up together and getting some visuals. Now I'm going to flick into phone layout here, so there's phone support for Power BI, and it'll just allow you to reposition and resize the visuals, reorganize them better for a phone layout, which is typical portrait. So I'm just going to drag those two visuals on there. So I'm quite happy with that, so I'm just going to flick back into the desktop mode. So once I'm actually happy with the data and I'm happy with the visuals, I can actually publish this straight to Power BI, the website. So the first thing I need to do is save it, so I'm just going to save this onto my local machine, and once I've done that, it's going to actually allow me to publish this straight up to Power BI. Now I'm going to select the workspace that we created at the start of this demonstration, and it's now going to publish that dataset and report into the workspace to make it available for other people, and I can directly open that in Power BI. And we can see the same report that we had in the Power BI desktop, and the same functionality of cross-filtering between the two visuals that we had and we saw and made in Power BI desktop. Now when you pull data into Power BI or you make it available in Power BI, straight away you have some quite interesting functionality that you can use. So if I just click on the workspace that we're working on here and move on to data sets, and this is the same for any data set wherever the origin comes from, we can see the nav7 data set that we created in Power BI, and if I just select one of these options, it's Get Insights. Now what this is, I'm just going to click this, and what this will actually do is it will have a look at your data without really me telling Power BI anything about the data, and it will look for trends, and it will suggest some visuals that may give some insights into that data for the user to actually potentially select and add to a dashboard. So top right you can see here that it has gathered or suggested some insights, so I can click on that and I can have a look at what it might suggested, and some of these visuals might be of great interest to me, so I can actually select one of these visuals and I can actually say it was useful and pin to a dashboard. So I'm just going to create a new dashboard, and I'll just say new dashboard nav, and I'll pin that there. And straight away we can see the new dashboard. Similarly, we can go back to our report and do the same with any visuals, but with dashboards you can actually mash up some additional content, such as maybe HTML snippets, streaming data, videos, or other elements you might want within a dashboard to make it more interactive to the users. So I'm going to pin this whole item onto the existing dashboard that we just created. So I'm just going to pin that there. And now we can actually see the suggested visual that I hadn't told Power BI about, but it just came up with it and I found it useful, so I added it. And I've pinned the whole report, which is fully interactive once again, onto the dashboard for everyone to see. Now what you can also do once you finish with the workspace and you're happy with the dashboards, the reports and the data sets that you've actually created, is you can publish it as an app. So here I've got no apps, but I'm going to go into my demo workspace and I'm going to publish. I'm just select the publish app. So with apps you can choose a simplistic branding. We can say that this is a demo nav app. We can select what the app landing page will be. So in this scenario I'm actually going to choose the dashboard we just created. And what's included, and then who has access to it. I'm just going to collect. I just need to add myself to have access to the dashboard, and it's ready to publish. So I publish, and this is really just a way of, once you finish with the work, actually packaging it up in what is termed as an app, Power BI app, and then making it available to other users. And here you can actually see that it provides a link so that, for you to actually share with others, or you can do that from the actual user interface. So I'm just going to go to this app, and you will see that obviously the default landing page will be the one I selected of our dashboard. So with that, I'm just going to flick over to my iPhone. So the iPhone has a free Power BI app where I can actually access all the content within Power BI on my mobile device. So just bear with me, I'm going to mirror my iPhone. So here's my iPhone, and we have the Power BI app here. And if I look at the menu system, you can actually see that it's the same, very similar to the workspace within the website, and it actually does provide notifications. So you can see here that it's actually notified me that there is actually a new dashboard, and we can actually see the dashboard here. So as well as being able to actually navigate the same workspaces, the same reports and dashboards within an iPhone app, making it mobile, we can also do some quite advanced stuff straight from the mobile without once again telling Power BI anything about our data. So if you notice in the bottom of the screen, you'll actually see what looks like a chat or a text message icon, and I can select here, and I'm just going to type in here how many cases are resolved. And this is actually going to interpret, using natural language techniques, my question and try to come up with an answer. And as you can see, it's actually answered the 3005 of those cases are actually resolved. So hopefully from that you can see that Power BI is a very easy to use, powerful tool to actually take multiple sources of data, mash them up, create website dashboards and reports for people to ingest and interact with in order to get better insights into their business, as well as being able to make that fully available by mobile devices with some quite advanced ability for users who have no technical skill whatsoever to actually ask questions of the data that's been ingested and provide and gain better insights into their business. Thanks a lot.